what excites you the most about our Touching Hearts at Home future under the leadership of Todd Treml?
I could not be more excited. There's just, and everybody feels this way. It is such a difference to have somebody in the leadership role who brings that breath of fresh air and just gets it. You know, he's just the perfect combination of wanting to be innovative and growing in the right direction. And he values everybody on the owner level. And I just, from the very first interaction I had with him, like I'm so grateful that he connected with Touching Hearts at Home and is in the role that he is. It's just been incredible to see things happen since he's taken over as CEO, and I'm very much looking forward to the future.
Well, good morning to all. My name is Glenn Leigang, and I serve as the Vice President of Franchise Development at Touching Hearts at Home. And today on our podcast of Touching Hearts at Home, we have the privilege and honor of being with us today, our guest, Kelly George. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Kelly, I want to thank you for just being so open and willing to join us. We know this is a new initiative, and just thank you for being a part of our team and a part of what we're doing here across America with Touching Hearts at Home.
I'm happy to be here.
So Kelly, for the folks that may or may not know you, okay, tell us where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your family, if you don't mind, and tell us how long you've owned a Touching Hearts at Home.
Sure. So I'm a Hoosier by birth, but a Buckeye for most of my life. So I've born in Indiana, raised in Dayton, Ohio, lived here my whole life, went to college at Indiana University for a little bit, and then finished up in Dayton, Ohio at Wright State University. So this is my home where I have my franchise. And it's where all my support system is. It's where we raised our family. I married my husband, who's also from Dayton, many, many years ago. And we have 4 children, all of whom are grown for the most part. Our youngest is actually graduating from college this year. So that's super exciting.
That's incredible. The youngest one graduating college. How does that make you feel?
Relieved, I suppose. Like, okay, it's we're ready for this next phase, and that's very exciting. But yes, I'm very, very proud of her, and it's super exciting. So I started my franchise in 2012. So at that time, they were all in school. You know, I had grade schoolers, middle schooler, and a high schooler. And it's silly because I remember thinking at the time, oh, I have a high schooler now, and all my kids are pretty self-sufficient and don't need mom as much. And this will be a great time to get back into the workforce and have another career, which looking back was terrible timing, but
well, Kelly, that really brings up a very valid point, which I didn't expect us to talk about today, but that's what these things are all about, right? Learning stories and so forth. Tell maybe for the folks at home that are, considering starting a business, perhaps they're a mom or a dad, maybe a single mom, whatever the case may be.
Right.
A question that I have is, do you regret starting it at the time that you did?
Absolutely not. If I had to say what my regret was, it would be that I didn't start it 10 or 15 years earlier, which also would have been a terrible time with 4 young kids, right? But, I look at the other owners that I have so much admiration for that, I mean, gosh, I think Brandon started when he was like 18, and we've got some other young owners with young families or starting their families, and that would have been amazing too. So there's really not a bad time to start this journey because of the rewards that come from it once you have it established. And even in the beginning, it's just a lot less hectic once it's established.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly, you just mentioned something that you mentioned the relationship that you have with some of your other peers, some of the other owners in the network. I've been in franchising for 20 years now and work with some of the largest brands in America and some in the world. And I will tell you, there is something very special about the bond, the willingness of all of the owners
Mm-hmm.
to help, to come alongside, that truly want to see this brand get to the next level. Where does that come from? Where does that give us some insight on that?
I really feel that it has to do with finding the people that are attracted to the culture that we have. I can without a doubt say that the other owners in the organization, they're among the people that I admire most in my life and that I consider some of my closest friends. And it really is incredible. I mean, we all share the same commitment. I can only attribute it to our founder Renee, who just really set a solid base of who we are and what we're about, and it attracted people that shared that. When I was considering other franchises, it didn't have the same feel. This is definitely a unique organization where people share those values.
Yeah. And it's so hard to articulate that to someone that is, potentially interested in our brand or interested in this industry. I've always found throughout my career, it's challenging to discuss culture when it is truly positive because you can spend all day talking about it. It's
Yeah.
actually far easier, but far more challenging to have a not so great culture, but use all the key buzzwords, right, to make it seem like you're good. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't mind, because there is something special here.
Hmm.
And you mentioned Renee. Tell us a story that where she may have inspired you.
Oh my goodness. There's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, really, from the very first interaction I had with her, it was just, and this was an interaction that was over the phone. It was when I was first seeking out which franchise am I going to associate myself with. I knew that I wanted to do this industry. I knew that I wanted to do a franchise. It was which one, because there's plenty of them out there. And I had had a few interactions with other organizations, and then I had my call set up with Renee, and it's just the way that she made me feel. I could tell that she was so interested in who I was as a person. I could tell through the phone line that she believed so much in what it was that we do and the power that it had to change somebody's life. And she would talk about that. And almost every time that she would get up to speak to us as owners, there was always a phrase about changing lives. And when
Mm,
you say that, it seems kind of grandiose, right?
yeah.
But it's true and it's real. And we see it every day as owners. And she had seen it in her life as an owner. And I would tell people after that initial call, being around Renee, you have a feeling initially that this person is too good to be true.
Wow.
Yeah, because everything, like she was all of that. And then when you get to know her, you realize this is the real deal. This is who she is, and this is what she believes, and her sons carry that on. And
No
that's
question. Yeah.
that's how you have such a strong culture because we all felt that when we talked to her. And I feel that we all have this commitment to carry that on in her honor, 100%.
No, it's so true. It's really, we have something so special. Obviously, you're running a very successful business. You're doing a fantastic job. But you talk about something that's very important to us, and that is the ability to make a real change and affect people's lives. Can you
Right.
talk about the two sides of that in terms of how do you, and if you want to share a story, that's fine. How do you inspire and care for your caregivers? And
Right.
then how do you,
So the caregivers are where it all starts. And we need to view, and we do it here in Dayton, we view our care team as the key. They are our first client. They are who we have to love on and take care of and inspire. And the question of how do you inspire that? Well, you show it. It's servant leadership. It's the same
Mm.
way you inspire your children or your friends, or how the owners inspire each other. We're showing them the way. And it's how Renee inspired us. She had such a belief, and it just shines out from her. That's what we need to do to our care partners. It's finding the people that it resonates with. And you can tell who those people are. And some people have that drive, but yet they're not quite sure how to implement it.
Mm.
So it's teaching them how to implement it, what those soft skills look like to garner the trust from your client. On the client side, again, it's these same things that Renee emulated every time that she was sitting in a room with you. It was being present and having her 100% attention. So when we're talking to a family, listening, making sure that we're hearing what they're saying, making sure that we're asking the right questions and being curious about their life, who they are as a person, what they need, what their challenges are, and then really being creative about solving those challenges. Um, it never stops. We have that initial meeting with the client, and then really the caregiver becomes the expert because they're spending all the time with it. We have to make sure that we then continue to go back and revisit it and connect with both the caregiver and the client to find out how things are going and fine tune things, and needs change. So staying in tune with what the needs are changing towards, and then adapting. So it's really just treating the business and everybody in it as just these moving, living entities. It's not transactional. It's not anything like where you sign the client and you're done. Like these are now members of your company family, and you're nurturing it. And it's a constant nurturing of the care team too. You talk about changing lives. I sometimes believe that we're changing the lives of our care team and our other employees on our support team just as much, if not more, than we're changing the lives of the clients and the families that we work with.
Yes.
That's an honor to really be viewed as a good employer, because there's not a lot of good employers out there. The longer I work as an employer of people, it's been 13 years now. The stories that I hear, and the experiences that some of the people that we hire have had, it's so nice to be able to turn that around and show them that there are employers that really do care about you, and we're going to make this a great experience for you, just like we are for the client.
Yeah. I know you mentioned Ryan and Andrew, and, they're in the office every day. Andrew's been with the company for 20 plus years. Ryan's been with the company for 18 plus years. And you mentioned, the culture and how it started with a vision from Renee and how it trickles down. And, one of the most inspiring things to me, and I kind of hear it from you as well, is that we've been charged with and given a directive to help breathe life and see a vision truly come to life and build a legacy. Does that ever go into your, I mean, you're building your own legacy,
Right.
you have your own business, but does that ever, I'm curious, does that ever come into your mind? Like when you're, cause your business is 12 to 13 years now.
Right. No, it definitely does. And I think it does for all of us owners, particularly the ones who had a relationship with Renee when she was at the helm. It'd be interesting to talk with the owners who never personally met Renee to see if the feeling is different, because yes, we heard every year at conference Renee speak about that legacy and how important it was to her, and we all drank the Kool-Aid. We're
Yeah.
we're 100% in, and I think that goes through our minds every day that we're here. There's hard days. There's hard days in home care. It is not easy. There are very difficult things that we do and that we run into, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. And being part of Renee's legacy and having such great support and admiration for her family is definitely a factor.
Yeah. I mean, what a great segue, because obviously one of the things that I most appreciate about our CEO, Todd Treml, is that he has truly embraced, which I
Mhm.
think is very wise because it's a great culture.
Yeah.
Embrace the culture. We stand behind it. We live it. We are a part of it. And when I say this is a great segue, can you share with me your thoughts on the excitement, or what excites you the most about our Touching Hearts at Home future under the leadership of Todd Treml?
I could not be more excited. There's just and everybody feels this way. It is such a difference to have somebody in the leadership role who brings that breath of fresh air and just gets it. He's just the perfect combination of wanting to be innovative and growing in the right direction, and he values everybody on the owner level. And I just, from the very first interaction I had with him, like I cannot, I'm so grateful that he connected with Touching Hearts at Home and is in the role that he is. It's just been incredible to see things happen since he's taken over as CEO, and I'm very much looking forward to the future.
Absolutely. The one thing, knowing Todd for almost a decade now, the
Yeah.
one thing that I can tell you is, as you know, he is a man of integrity. He
Mhm.
understands franchising as good or better than anyone that I've ever been around in my career.
Yeah.
And he values and understands the need to support
Yeah.
our franchisees. And so it truly is inspiring. I share your excitement. And in closing here, you have so much going on: 4 kids, husband, running a successful business. Okay. How do you recharge?
I love to travel.
Mm.
I love it so much. And now that I have the business at the point where I like coming to the office every day, I still do. I still work every day. But if I want to take a week and go on vacation with my husband or one of my kids, or visit my daughter in Chicago, I'm able to do that. And that to me is everything. I love traveling.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we all have to recharge. And I just want to commend you. I want to thank you, Kelly George, for serving on our franchise advisory board. Communication is so vital to us, all of you guys. And I want to thank publicly all of our franchise advisory board members, because they serve. That's what they do. They serve. There is no compensation. There's just a unity that they want to take the brand to the next level. And so from all of us at Touching Hearts at Home, we want to say thank you for your willingness, and all of our franchise advisory board team members' willingness to be a part of something special.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And so my name's Glenn Leigang. I want to thank Kelly George again for sharing a little bit of her heart to hopefully touch yours. Let's have a great week. Kelly, thank you again. Let's be great together. Touching Hearts at Home podcast.